Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Please go ahead, wrap up your conversations. Find a seat if you haven't already. It's great to see so many of you here in the room tonight. All right. My name is Tasneem Raja. I'm editor-in-chief of The Oaklandside. Thank you. Appreciate you. I'll tell you, I'm also the host, if you're not already tuning in, of our podcast, Oaklandside 510. Okay, glad there's some fans in the room. Get it on Apple, get it on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out. It's a great way to keep up with Oakland news if you don't always have time to read articles. Tonight's forum is hosted by the Oaklandside and Berkeleyside, two independent, nonprofit newsrooms rooted right here in the East Bay under the umbrella of Cityside. So what is Cityside, you may be wondering? Cityside is our nonprofit network of local news sites with a mission to strengthen communities through trustworthy local journalism that informs, engages, and connects residents, right? Like we're connecting here tonight across our communities. We're operating now in Oakland, Berkeley, and Richmond. We also have richmondside.org. Check it out for great daily news for a city that really deserves it. At Cityside, we strongly believe that local journalism should serve the public. That's what we're here for. Reflecting the communities it covers and create space for informed, respectful dialogue. That means reporting with independence, it means holding institutions accountable, and it means creating opportunities like tonight. Opportunities to hear directly from people who are seeking to serve and represent these communities. This candidate forum tonight is part of that mission. It's an opportunity to hear from these candidates, better understand their priorities, and engage with the issues that are facing and shaping the future of Alameda County. I just want to be clear about something. We're not here as journalists to tell you what to think. We're here to make sure that you all have the information that you need and the access you deserve to decide for yourselves. I'm grateful to all of the candidates for joining us here tonight and to all of you for coming out. It's not easy at the end of a workday to make space for civic engagement, and you all have done that. And I just really want to actually give you a round of applause for showing up. Yeah. Thank you for your commitment to staying informed. Okay, I'm gonna run through a little housekeeping here. Restrooms, that's really important. We always start with restrooms. Off to the right, so you're gonna go through this, this sort of portal right here. Go off to the right, you'll see a sign that says restrooms. Tonight's forum is being live streamed and a recording will be available after. So if you want to watch it again or you want to share it with people you know who aren't here tonight, the video will be available at oaklandside.org. We're going to make that easy for you. If you are sitting next to a chair that is open and you don't think there's anybody there, please move in. We do have some people in the back who might need a seat, but otherwise don't be shy, folks. Come in, take a spot. Here's how tonight is going to work. Each candidate will be given 90 seconds to introduce themselves. Then our moderators will present questions compiled by Oaklandside and Berkeleyside journalists with input from community members. We've solicited questions from readers across Berkeley and Oakland. We received far more questions than we were able to have time for today. While we couldn't incorporate every question, we did work to incorporate them into the main topics and themes that we are presenting today. So everything got read, everything got considered, and we tried to work stuff in as we could. Candidates were not given the questions in advance. I know people are always curious about that. They'll be hearing them for the first time tonight, and that's to ensure a fair forum, allowing voters to hear candid, unscripted responses. Responses are limited to 1 to 2 minutes. A timekeeper, where's my timekeeper? Thank you, May, up front will be monitoring the time. If a candidate is mentioned directly during another candidate's response, the moderators may, at their discretion, offer the mentioned candidate up to 30 seconds to respond. So just want to, I realize some of this can feel a little bit like, let's get on with it, but it just kind of helps to know how things are going to go. Then we will open it up to questions from you, the audience. We ask that everyone, on stage, off stage, remain respectful and civil throughout the forum. This is a space for thoughtful conversation, and we want to ensure all voices can be heard. I would like to remind everyone to silence their phones, including our candidates. Thank you very much. I would like to remind our candidates from using, to refrain from using your phones during the forum. I'm sure you weren't planning on it anyway. With that, please welcome the Alameda County District Attorney candidates in alphabetical order: Ursula Jones Dickson, okay, folks. All right, thank you. I apologize. That was on me. I actually should not have invited applause. So with that said, I will just go ahead and give you all the same opportunity. Gopal Krishan is here as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Gopal. All right, Gopal Krishan, thank you so much. And Pamela Price is here as well. Thank you so much, Pamela Price. Our moderators tonight are the Oaklandside's senior reporter covering City Hall, housing, and homelessness, Natalie Orenstein. And from Berkeleyside, we have our senior public safety reporter, Alex Gecan. Thank you. My colleagues, Alex and Natalie, will alternate asking questions to the candidates. And with that, I will hand it over to Natalie. Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you, Tasneem. Okay. Thank you, Tasneem. My name is Natalie, and as she mentioned, I'm a reporter for the Oaklandside. Great to see you all today. We will start this evening by allowing each candidate 90 seconds to introduce themselves. And candidates, we ask that you pay attention to our timekeeper up front, please. We'll start in alphabetical order. Ursula Jones Dickson, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself.
Can I take this out? Is that okay? So I can
Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
Thank you. All right, I'm Ursula Jones Dickson, Alameda County District Attorney. By way of introduction, I was a deputy DA for about 15 years before I was elevated to the bench as a judge for 11, and now back as DA here in this county. The reason I left the bench to do this job is because I think that victims' rights are important. And I felt like we lost sight of that over the last several years. As a result of that, I am building an office that absolutely focuses in on victims' rights. Now, I should just say very quickly, it's important for district attorneys to be elected and not overly political. And what does that mean? That means you should not be agendized and you should be competent. Those are the two things I think that are most important for a district attorney. Not being agendized, i.e. Pam Bondi, being competent, i.e. getting the job done. The job of a district attorney is pretty straightforward. The goal is to make sure that we receive information from agencies like the police department, review that information to see if a crime has been committed, and if we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, we move forward on that. And we elevate victims' rights along the way because victims have constitutional rights just like defendants. So what I can commit to you all is that we'll do that in this office, and we'll do it without bias.
Thank you. All right.
Good evening. This is Attorney Gopal. And I'm very thankful for the moderators, for the Oaklandside, for the Berkeleyside for having this. This is very hard work, she said it right. And to start, for myself, I'm Attorney Gopal, and I came from India as an immigrant with the dreams in my eyes. My wife helped me out. I studied. She worked hard, 5 jobs, 5 W-2s. Passed the bar exam, opened my own practice. And I have worked with families, businesses in my entire career. I have talked to families. They were scared of ICE. They were scared of the immigration enforcement. They were scared of that somebody's going to knock on their door. And I have talked to the victims of the hate crime. She said it right. Yes, district attorney is all about the victims. And I have talked to the families, businesses. seeing them from opening up to close down because of the organized crime. And that's the reason I'm running for the district attorney, because I see nobody's doing anything about it. So I'm gonna be tough on the organized crime. I'm gonna be tough on the ICE. There will be no ICE in Alameda County. And I will make sure that no hate crime go unpunished. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Pamela Price, please.
Start?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Pamela Price, and I'm running for re-election. This election is a test for the county. It's a question of whether we will continue to move forward with criminal justice reform or whether we will return to the failed practices and policies of the past. In the name of stability, change is hard. It makes some people uncomfortable. I walked into an office that had not seen change for at least 50 years and had never had a non-appointed district attorney since 1938. The recall happened because we had people who were fixated on removing me from office before I even got into the office, and they used the media to highlight every problem in the office, every crime in Oakland, and blame it on me. But the truth will always catch up to a lie. My top priority is keeping the people of Alameda County safe and ensuring that justice is fair. I'm uniquely qualified because I'm the only candidate who is a survivor. I came to this role with 33 years of management and civil litigation as a civil rights lawyer and a small business owner representing victims and working people. I still believe in the core values that brought me to the district attorney's office, in fairness, in a system that treats everyone equally, and a clear commitment to public safety. This campaign is about moving our justice system forward with a stronger, disciplined approach to public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as a reminder, we're all here to hear the candidates. Let's keep it civil, please. All right. Okay, we're going to move on. So the following questions, as Tisney mentioned, were compiled by journalists from the Oaklandside and Berkeleyside with input from the community. Candidates, please keep your responses within the time frame that we mentioned and pay attention to May, our kind timekeeper up front. All right, let's jump in. So this first question is for all of you. You will each have 2 minutes to respond. Mr. Krishan, we'll start with you. Do you believe the DA's office is currently moving in the right direction or the wrong direction? Please give at least 2 specific examples of policies or practices to explain your view.
Thank you. It's not moving at all. There is no right direction. There is no wrong direction. District Attorney Office, the current District Attorney Office is exactly the same as it was before 50 years ago. The technology, that's the first thing. The technology the District Attorney Office uses is old, outdated, and because of that, there is no efficiency in it. The District Attorney Office has a software, it is in-house made software, which was made in 2020. It was actually implemented in 2020. I don't know when it was made. There is no update since then. So yes, it is not going anywhere. What we can do to fix it, first of all, we need to overhaul the whole system. We are using the papers. This is 2026. We have the processing divisions, we have the processing softwares. They can make sure that the work can be done efficiently. We can use $110 million to implement the processing. And with that, we can increase the efficiency of 150 lawyers up to 200%. I have that system, and I have a plan laid out for that. So that's the plan. District Attorney Office is not going anywhere. It is exactly the same. And if you don't opt for the change, it will remain the same for another 50 years. This is the change you are seeing. I am that change. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Ms. Jones Dickson, same time, 2 minutes and same question.
Thank you. So I believe the district attorney's office is moving in the right direction. I'll start with 2 specific things. When I walked into the office, there was a huge backlog of cases that had not been charged. Thousands and thousands of cases that had not been charged. And we've been working like crazy to make sure that those cases are charged, because attached to each of those cases is a victim. So for 2 years, those cases, some of them passed the statute of limitations sat. We made sure that we have assigned individuals to charging, have brought people back to charge, to make our way through that charging. That's number one. Number two, after charging those cases, reviewing and charging those cases, we're actually trying those cases. For 5 years, we didn't see a lot of cases moving through the courts. For 3 of those years, it was COVID. It was just the nature of the courts. Things weren't moving. And then for another 2 years, people were not trying cases. So we have over 260 murders waiting to be tried in this county, over 322 cases where someone died. And we are moving through those cases. Every Monday, we have a meeting and talk about the felony cases that we are trying or resolving. So we cannot sit on victims' pain and do absolutely nothing. The district attorney's office is required, mandated to do that work. So those are just 2 of the things that I think makes us move in the correct direction. But the third is, we absolutely are back to doing the work that we're supposed to be doing, that we're mandated to do. We're not making it up. We're doing it well. We have a skill set to do it. We're not learning on the job. We're competent. And we're just doing it. Just that simple. I mean, it's just that simple. We're doing the work. So.
Thank you all so far for keeping within the time frame. Ms. Price, you're next.
I absolutely believe that the office is headed in the wrong direction. When I walked into the office, we had something called a Trauma Recovery Center, a grant that we had obtained, that my predecessor had obtained, and that we used to provide services for victims and survivors in Alameda County. In March of this year, that grant ended because it was not, the DA's office was not successful in getting the grant renewed. And so that's a significant loss for the survivors and the victims of Alameda County. We also, with respect to victims, encountered a significant backlog in the Family Justice Center as well as in the Victim Witness Advocates Division. And that, we cleaned up that backlog and moved forward with that. And that progress has stopped because of the folks that are no longer there under the new administration. The second thing is the public dashboard that we worked more than a year to create so that the county would have transparency around what cases are backlogged, and you would be able to see for yourself where the cases were, how long they had been pending, and what the progress was of them actually on a quarterly basis. That public dashboard was removed from public view in February of 2025. And so without having a public dashboard, it's impossible for the public to actually be able to track what is happening and whether or not there are cases that are backlogged and how long they have been there. The last thing is the resentencing project that my office followed up on following Ms. O'Malley's. We created a better process for that, and we saved the taxpayers $287.4 million per year. That resentencing program was stopped immediately in February of 2025 and has not been resumed. And as a result, our tax dollars continue to go to incarcerate people who long ago stopped being a threat to public safety.
This next question is also for all of you. This time you'll have 90 seconds to respond. Ms. Price, we'll start with you this time. What is the greatest misconception about the Alameda County District Attorney's power and authority? Yeah, sorry, let me repeat that. What is the greatest misconception about the Alameda County District Attorney's power and authority?
I think the greatest misconception that was revealed or should be revealed to the public by now is that the district attorney is the person who is responsible for preventing crime or driving crime rates. We saw in '23 when I took office that there was essentially an effort to hold the district attorney's office responsible for crime in just one part of the county, and that was Oakland. In fact, the district attorney is the district attorney of all of Alameda County, which is 14 cities and 6 unincorporated areas. And so consistently what I heard was people saying, you're the district attorney of Oakland, and that is not true. The district attorney's office oversees the administration of justice for the entire county, and in some places you have crime that goes up, you have crime that goes down, but the district attorney's job is to prosecute cases that the police actually solve, that they bring a person, a suspect, a report, and the evidence to support the prosecution of that person. The district attorney is not responsible for prosecuting cases where the police have not been able to find or identify the suspect. It's just literally impossible. So we are on the back end of the criminal, enforcement of crime versus the assumption that the district attorney is going to be the person that's actually responsible for all of the crime. What we also know is that what deters crime is the threat of being caught.
Once again, please let the candidates speak and let this event unfold efficiently. Next, excuse me. Thank you. So Ms. Jones Dickson, you're next. What's a misconception about the DA's office's role and power?
I think one of the misconceptions is that the DA is the same as the court. So having just left the bench, oftentimes people will say, you know, the cops will bring folks in and the DA lets them out. Oftentimes it's the court that is letting people out of custody. We don't have that power or that authority. And I think that it's important to understand that there are divisions so that there are checks and balances of obligation and responsibility. So the DA's office absolutely is responsible for receiving information from the police department. It is in a lot of ways a reactive agency, because we don't normally go out and create an investigation. But when the cases come to us, I think that the misconception is that in some ways we have less authority than we actually do. I always say anybody in this room could be in front of the district attorney if you've committed a crime. Anybody in here. That's why it's really important for the DA to be fair and impartial and to treat all cases, people, the same. So I think that the biggest misconceptions really are around things that the court does and the DA does. We're not responsible for letting people out of custody. We fight like crazy oftentimes to make sure that people we think are public safety risks are in custody. And then the other piece of that is that authority is broad. We do have the ability to charge individuals who commit crimes in our county.
Thank you. So we've so far learned that the DA is not the police and it's not the courts. Mr. Krishan, what would you add to this conversation?
Thank you. So I'll take one step back. Most of the people, they don't even know who the DA is. They know mayor, they know council member. I have talked to many people. Sometimes they think the DA works for the police cops, and that's not true. And I have to educate them that there's a different department, the cop, the law enforcement, they have a different department, and that this is the role and responsibility of the district attorney office. So one of the major issues we are missing, it's not the misconception, it's like there is no awareness. The people who knows, they know. Most of the time the people, they don't know that. And thanks to you guys, Oaklandside and Berkeleyside and the other newspaper and everybody who is watching online, this is the awareness we need. Once everybody knows that who is the district attorney and what they do, then each and every person in the district attorney office will be under the microscope, and that can increase the accountability and the transparency in the office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, candidates. Now I'll hand the mic over to my colleague, Berkeleyside Senior Public Safety Reporter, Alex Gecan.
Thank you, Natalie, and good evening, candidates. This first question is for all three of you. It's going to land a little differently based on your experience or connection to the district attorney's office. Ms. Jones Dickson, we're going to start with you. You'll each have 2 minutes to respond. Sentencing enhancements, which are effectively extra charges a prosecutor can use to seek a longer prison sentence for a defendant, have been a controversial topic at the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Ms. Jones Dickson, your predecessor strictly limited the use of enhancements, but your policy has been to allow your deputies to use them more freely. What's your current thinking with respect to enhancements?
My current thinking is, So, just what it was. The first day I walked into the office, I asked that we lift the directives of my predecessor. Those directives are a big piece of why we have a backlog. Because my predecessor did not want to charge enhancements, she made all charging deputies go directly through multiple layers of supervisors to make that request. We don't have that backlog anymore. We put people in a position who can charge cases, who had enough experience so that they know what a case is, if it can be proved beyond a reasonable doubt or not. And then they're able to do that and move the cases more quickly, again, creating a path to justice more quickly for victims of crime. I believe that we should have the ability to use sentencing enhancements. I will not back off on that position. The reason is because we have some extremely violent crime in our county. We don't use them all the time, nor do we have to. Not everybody has to go to state prison when they commit a crime. But when those crimes are violent, the expectation is that we have the tools that are at our fingertips to use to charge the cases appropriately. When a case is charged with enhancements, they don't always resolve to the same charges. It depends on the facts. Each case I've ever touched has either gotten better or worse. But what we do have is the ability to negotiate those cases, or if we go to trial, to make sure that in a case where someone's murdered, in a case where children are raped, in cases where they're serious and violent, we have the ability to sentence appropriately.
Thank you, Ms. Jones Dickson. And now, Ms. Price, as I mentioned, you restricted your deputies' uses of sentencing enhancements upon your election to the office. If returned to office, would you reinstate your mandate requiring high-level sign-off or delegate more to your deputies?
First, let me correct a misstatement in the question. We did not do that upon our, when I was sworn into the office. We did a survey and research. We looked at all of the charging deputies and we asked them, what are you using to charge? How have you been trained to charge? And I should also clarify that the charging deputies are all senior deputies in the DA's office. And so if there was a problem with charging, it was the people who were there before I got there and who I understand are still there, responsible for charging. So we never had inexperienced people charging, as has been alluded to. After we did our research and evaluation, we developed two policies, one for juveniles and one for adults, called the special directives. Those policies were based on Penal Code Section 1385. In 2021, our State Senator Nancy Skinner sponsored Senate Bill 81, which is called Dismissal of Enhancements, and it specifically provides that the court shall not use enhancements unless there's a likelihood that the dismissal of the enhancement would result, that the court shall dismiss enhancements unless there's a likelihood that the dismissal would result in physical injury or other serious danger to others. So that is the legal standard that all of the deputies should be following, and that's what we asked for in the special directive. It did not apply to child abuse cases. In the preamble, it specifically accepted cases that were mandated with enhancements. The prosecutor's job is to evaluate every case and to see where the facts lead. And if the facts lead to the need for an enhancement, then the prosecutor should have no problem talking to his or her supervisor about why that is appropriate. Traditionally, these extra enhancements have impacted primarily Black and brown communities.
Thank you, Ms. Price. And now, Mr. Krishan. Mr. Krishan, how would you approach the use of sentencing enhancements if elected to the district attorney's office?
Thanks for the question. So we have the enhancement for a reason. And the reason is if somebody is, let me give you the example. If somebody is coming to your home from the back door and they don't have any gun, that's one charge. But if they are carrying a gun, they They're not showing you, but they're carrying a gun. Yes, they are ready to use that gun. So that's the reason we have the enhancements. The more the facts in the case, violent offenses and everything, these are the enhancements we can use. Repeat offenders, violent offenders, drug abuse, gang affiliations, organized crime, these are the enhancements we can use. So if we have the enhancement and we can use those enhancements to bring the justice to the society, I believe we should be using that. But we cannot use it in each and every case. There are minors, there are youth, they are first-time offenders, their brains is not that developed yet. They are doing the crime of passion, not by the planning. So in that case, we can make an exception on that. So in my opinion, as a district attorney, I will have a clear policy. If we have the violent offenders, there is a firearm involved, there is an illegal firearm involved, yes, there are enhancements, and my office will be using that. But if there is a minor, we can make some exceptions on that on a case-to-case basis. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I'm going to take a second before we keep moving, all right? I'm going to ask everybody to just take a breath, all right? We're going to all take a breath. All right, this is the East Bay. We're going to just do a little bit of breathing together. Here's what we're not going to do anymore. We're not going to put signs up for the rest of the night. Yeah, I understand. But I think you've made your positions clear. We asked people at the start of our forum tonight to be respectful, to be civil. We're here to listen, and we're here to give people an opportunity to talk. You have your opportunity at the ballot box to make your desires known. There are many other opportunities for you to engage your civic voice. Your responsibility at this forum here tonight is to listen and to allow others to listen without being distracted. So we're going to cut down on the distractions. We cannot have any more signs go up in the air. We cannot have people interrupting our candidates. And if that doesn't work for you, I invite you to express your displeasure now and stand up, and please do leave. I'll give you a minute to think about it. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all showing up tonight, expressing your civic duty, being here to be informed, and to allow others to be informed in the way that they chose to do tonight. Thank you very much. We'll proceed.
All right, thank you, Tasneem. And moving on to the next question, again, this will be for all three of you. You will each have 90 seconds to respond. Mr. Krishan, we're going to start with you for this one. What is one decision that you would make as DA that might attract criticism, but that you believe is necessary to create a more just system in Alameda County?
Can you repeat the first part?
Sure. What is one decision that you would make as district attorney that might attract criticism, but that you believe is necessary to create a more just system in Alameda County? One decision you would make that might attract criticism.
So there was a case, two cases actually. Let's start with one, radius recycling. The case was filed, and two people were criminally charged, and current district attorney took that case off. If I'm that guy, I will do my best and let the jury decide what will happen. And I will take that criticism at that stage. That's one. The second is Stephen Taylor, the Taylor case. Same thing happened. There was a cop involved, law enforcement person involved in that shooting. There was a fatal shooting. The case went to the court, and the current district attorney office I think within 3 months of her tenure, she got it dismissed. If I'm the district attorney, I'll let the jury decide. My job is to prosecute, not to make a decision. These are the two cases which I would say I would go ahead, I will do my best and see what happens. I'm doing the exact same thing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Jones Dickson, same question. What is one decision that you have made or would continue to make as district attorney that might attract criticism, but that you believe is necessary to create a more just system in Alameda County?
We make those decisions every day. That's what DAs do. They're hard decisions. And it concerns me when people know nothing about criminal law and they make comments about why you do what you do. Because if you come to this job thinking you're not going to have to make a hard decision every day, find another job. But be man or woman enough to make the decision and to talk to people about why you made those decisions. Whether it be victims, whether it be lawyers who represent folks who are charged. So every single day we make decisions that are not going to make somebody happy. Why do you think my hair is gray? Much more gray than it has been before I started this job. So just to comment on the Radius case, I don't really know what Mr. Krishan was talking about. We took it off. You don't really take a case off in criminal court, but it is a charge case. It's not a criminally charged case. It's a civilly charged case. So again, we make decisions every day because you can't just try a case because you feel like it. You have to have an ethical obligation to only try cases you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And when you don't really know the job, oftentimes you charge cases that you can't.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Price, one decision that you made in your time as DA or that you would make if returned to office that might attract criticism but that you believe is necessary.
I'll start with the Radius recycling case. I made a decision to allow a criminal grand jury to be convened, a jury of this community, of residents of this community, to hear the evidence of misconduct by a serial corporate polluter. I made that decision to give them permission to go forth and present that evidence, and they did, and the criminal grand jury returned an indictment. A judge then approved the indictment. Obviously, my successor dismissed the case because she disagreed with the grand jury and the court about that case. The two things that I did, one, I created a public accountability unit, which I think is essential to ensuring the accountability of public officials like Eric Swalwell, as well as police officers like the officers who kidnapped the man in San Leandro and, quote, dumped him in Oakland. That was an unpopular decision. We reopened 8 cases and looked at them. 2 of them we decided not to prosecute, and we advised the agencies of that. But I got a lot of heat about having a public accountability unit. The third thing is not charging life without the possibility of parole, because that charge in Alameda County has a long, well-documented history of racial bias and using it inappropriately in our community. And we have families and decades of data to show that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to ask questions tailored to each candidate. Continuing on the theme of accountability, Ms. Jones Dickson, this question is for you. You have 2 minutes. Some view you as not being tough enough on public accountability. You've dismissed cases alleging wrongdoing by law enforcement, corporations, and other powerful institutions. Why should the people trust you to represent them in prosecuting these kinds of cases in addition to other crimes?
So first and foremost, I'm gonna go back to where I started. You need a DA who knows what they're doing. So when you charge a case, for example, like the Radius case, when you charge that case and you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, when a court makes a decision to recuse lawyers from that case under the last administration, that becomes an issue because they could not be fair and impartial. And in fact, that wasn't the only case under the last administration where the DA's office was recused. So when we talk about trust, the goal is to trust the expertise, the experience. Nobody's ever going to always be happy with what I do, and oftentimes nobody's happy, because if you have to come to the DA's office, it's not a good time. Either you've been charged with a case or you've been the victim of a crime. What we can do is what we can legally do, because I'm one of those few people who actually believes in the rule of law. Glad to hear there's somebody else out there who does too. So as a result of that, we have ethical obligations as to what we can and cannot charge and how we move forward. So I would say to you, how you trust me is this way. Know that I know how to be a DA. Know that I know how the court works. I've been a judge for 11 years. Know that I know how to pick a good lawyer to try a case. Know that you should know that I can try a good case. Those are the things that you need to be able to do to make yourself available to the community as a steward of their cases. We're just moving these cases along on behalf of victims in the community. But if we get a case we can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, we are obligated to dismiss that case.
May I rebut? May I have an opportunity to rebut?
Sure, you can have 30 seconds.
Thank you. I have 30 seconds to rebut.
Yes, you mentioned your predecessor, so we'll give you 30 seconds to respond quickly.
Thank you. The Radius Recycling case was not the first time this company had engaged in this behavior. It was not dismissed by the court. It was dismissed by the DA's office. And so the DA made a decision that she would not go forward. The Stephen Taylor case was not charged by anyone under my administration. It was charged under Nancy O'Malley's administration. It went through a preliminary hearing where a judge said there was more enough evidence for it to go to trial. Judge Reardon, when he was asked by the defense to dismiss the case, said no,
Thank you,
the
Ms.
case
Price.
should go to trial.
So I'm assuming I get that same 30 seconds since she spoke to me? I'm just asking because I don't
All right,
know.
go ahead.
Okay,
30
thanks.
seconds, and then we're going to
Appreciate
move on.
So as it relates to the Stephen Taylor case, to be quite frank, the attorneys hired under my predecessor had that case in hand. They had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 expert witnesses that came forward, 1 a defense and 3 for the DA, who said that that was not a criminal case. And they didn't give that information to the defendant. So you don't give it to the defendant when he's a cop, but you're mad if the DA doesn't give it to anybody else who's charged with a crime. We cannot go forward on these cases with that kind of information.
Okay, we're going to ask. Thank you. Mr. Krishan.
Do I get to rebut?
No, we're going to move on. Thank you. I'll have a lot more questions to answer. Okay, Mr. Krishan, this one is for you. You have 2 minutes. You run a law firm that focuses primarily on family law, business, and immigration, but not mainly on criminal law. Why should voters trust you're prepared to serve as the county's top prosecutor?
Thank you. You can call me Gopal. So you said it right. The keyword is primarily. So I have the immigration practice, I have the family laws, and I have the civil cases. Why it is the focused one? I put my money onto the marketing because it gives me a good revenue. Okay, versus when you see the other cases where the cost of marketing is higher than the revenue and I'm not getting the return on the investment, I don't market myself. So why should everybody trust me? I am running a practice and I am very particular about that, what to do, what not to do. That doesn't mean I don't do the criminal law. I don't market that. I have cases, I have very selective batch of the cases where I can see, okay, I can do the get the work done, and I can get good money worth of my time, and I do take those cases. This is called efficiency. What the district attorney is missing is efficiency and leadership. What I can provide is efficiency and leadership. I have seen complaints the cases are missing, the deadlines are missing, and I have, seeing the blame game over each other. It means somebody has to own their mistake. When I'm making a mistake, it is my mistake, I will own that. I am seeing that accountability part is missing from the district attorney office as well. When you are running a business, a small business, and you are running it successfully, you can have an idea that, okay, I can run this thing, I can actually scale it up, and I can run a 500 people company. It is not that hard. As long as you have that leadership quality and you know exactly what not to do. Everybody knows what they can do, but most of the time, the people, they don't know. It is super easy to blame. This guy did it, that guy did it, I'm good. No. You need a leadership who has the accountability, who has the courage to come up, I'm going to dismiss this case or I will not dismiss this case. This is what you need, and that's what makes me perfect for the district attorney office. I will bring that into the office. Thank you.
Do I get to rebut?
We're going to move on. Your question is next.
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Price, as you alluded to, voters overwhelmingly recalled you from office. Why do you think the recall was successful, and what, if anything, would you do differently as a result of that experience?
Sure.
2 minutes.
I think that the recall was successful because voters can only rely on the information that they receive, and they were misinformed. The people who fed them the information were absolutely wrong. They were fixated on removing me from office before I even took the office. And so they misled voters. They told voters I was responsible for all the crime in Oakland and all the businesses closing. They told voters that I was not charging cases and releasing all the criminals. Eric Swalwell said the cops catch and Pamela releases, which was absolutely false because, as my successor points out, the judge decides who gets released and who doesn't, and often the district attorney is fighting against someone being released. But facts did not matter to the people that wanted to stop us from moving forward. And they were able to effectively capture the media attention and the drama and manipulate and highlight the pain, the grief of victims, real victims in this community, were paraded and used to excite people's emotions and tell them that I didn't care about these victims and that I prioritized defendants over victims. I spent my 33 years representing victims, standing in the gap for victims. I've been standing in the gap for survivors since 1977. And yet they were able to persuade folks that somehow I didn't care about survivors. And then, of course, I was personally incompetent because I'm a black woman and I don't know how to run a big, large office like this. They said that when we missed deadlines and I hired all the wrong people, that therefore the recall was justified. I think, again, that the truth has to catch up to the lie. And the truth will catch up to the lie because now we get to really talk about, and the voters get to have a choice, not just an attack, but a choice between whether we move forward or we go backwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we open it up to audience questions, we want to give each candidate an opportunity to ask one question of one of their opponents. Candidates, you will each have 30 seconds to ask a question, and the opponent that you ask will have 90 seconds to respond. Mr. Krishan, we're going to start with you. Do you have one question to ask Ms. Jones Dickson or Ms. Price?
Sure. So I have a question. So given that your office is still running the technology from 2020, and you have said you don't support AI or the modern processing, what is your plan to modernize the district attorney office to reduce case backlogs and improve public safety?
I'm sorry, was that directed to Ms. Jones Dickson or Ms.
Yeah.
Price? Ms. Jones Dickson.
I think the question is, how would I use, can you ask me one more time? I'm sorry, Mr. Krishan. Thank you. Okay. So given that my office is still using technology from 2020, and I've said that I don't support AI, what's my plan to modernize the DA's office to reduce case backlogs and improve public safety? As it relates to AI, there are lots of constraints for lawyers as it relates to AI. It's not that we don't use it, we use it in like our legal research system. But we also hold the lawyers accountable to have to go back and check that work because AI is not always accurate. AI is not going to try a case for you. So we need to not be dependent upon AI. It does not mean that we don't have systems in place, including our evidence system, that use AI. But we will not be dependent upon it because this is a job that requires human interaction. So that's, it will continue, our office will continue to grow. We're getting through our backlog. Without AI, you would not use AI to charge a case anyway. You could not do that. So we're doing what we have to do, review the cases to charge them.
All right, thank you. Ms. Price, you'll be next. You have 30 seconds. Do you have a question you would like to ask one of your opponents?
Sure, I'd like to ask Ms. Ursula Jones Dickson. In 2026, multiple cases involving police misconduct have come to light, including the case of a BART officer who shot an unarmed woman and an unhoused man who was assaulted and transported by the San Leandro police officers from San Leandro to Oakland, but never arrested or accused of any crime. As district attorney, what mechanisms do you or have in place to ensure that instances of police brutality or misconduct against residents are promptly addressed and police officers are held accountable?
As Ms. Price should know, I'm assuming, we don't talk about open investigations. We can't. That's how you get recused from cases. Back to where we started before. The job of the DA is to do this work ethically. You don't talk about open cases. You don't talk about open investigations. And the reason is because you don't want to be in front of a judge or in front of the public and then not be able to handle that case because you politicized it and agendized it. So that is not a conversation I'm going to have with Ms. Price or anyone else here.
All right, and now Ms. Jones Dickson, do you have a question for one of your opponents?
Sure. Mr. Krishan, what was your last vacation? Where'd you go?
Very good question. I think we went to Japan. My son, we went to Tokyo, Kyoto, Japan. We stayed over there. That was a short one, but it was a good one. Thanks for asking.
All right, that was fun, and now I want to see pictures. So now we are going to open up to questions from the audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and a mic will come around to you. We ask that you please keep your questions succinct and respectful. You'll have 30 seconds to ask your question, and candidates, you'll have 30 seconds to ask your question. Candidates will have 60 seconds to respond.
We are also not going to let go of the microphone. We're going to put it in your face, and you can ask the question, but I got a death grip on this thing.
I should try that in church. Thank you. Bishop George Matthews, Genesis Worship Center, I've had the pleasure to meet with both of you at my facility. Two things. One, I'll say this, is that when I run a reentry program, the 30 men, we have a very success, but the perception was, Ms. Price, when you were the DA, directly from the guys in my program was, oh, there won't be no punishments, we can do whatever. That's not the case now. But my specific question, I could go on, and, well, there's another issue with the faith-based pastors. I've been a pastor in this county for 30 years. You hired your friend's pastor, Contra Costa County, on your staff, but not an Alameda County pastor. That was an issue. Lastly, Governor Newsom, in July 24, came on the news and offered help to help you with the backlog. He was upset and went on television because you didn't sign that memorandum. Can you talk to why that was an issue? Because that was not because you were black or because that came from the governor in July of 24. You guys can check it on AI. Can you respond to that?
And I believe that was to Ms. Price?
Yes, that was a question to Ms. Price about Gavin Newsom offering additional prosecutors to prosecute cases.
And he expressed concern about you on Channel 4 on July 24. He stated that you did not
All right, we're going to move on to the response from Ms. Price now.
I'm responding to the last question, not to the preface and the, okay, just so we're clear, because I would dispute what was stated by the dear pastor. So with respect to the governor's issues, Governor Newsom offered 2 deputies to assist in drug prosecutions, and the way that the office is organized, we don't have vertical prosecution of drug cases, and so it was challenging for our team at that time to identify a way to integrate those 2 deputies, and well, it was actually 1 deputy, into how the office was going to function. Our priority, certainly we were concerned with prosecuting fentanyl cases, and we worked with the county, the sheriff drug task force. Our priorities, however, at the time that the governor was not particularly interested in was organized retail theft, which we got a $2 million grant from the governor's office shortly before he held his press conference, and we were training for that, as well as gun violence. Thank you.
Hey, so my question is for Miss Ursula, and so basically, regarding what you said about AI, I feel like here, the Silicon Valley especially is the heart of AI. This is where we have created this kind of technology, and it's not only the heart for just California, but it's the heart for the whole world. The whole world is relying on the development that we're doing here in the Silicon Valley on AI, and is being implemented, you know, everywhere. So my question to you is, I understand what you're saying about needing like the human touch in this industry, but do you not think that there are other implementations of AI, like, you know, having like
We're going to need a definitive question, please.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask that why is it that we aren't implementing this new technology in the heart of where this technology has been created? And do you not think that we would be a lot better off with implementing it in every way that we can, not necessarily making the decisions?
Ms. Jones Dickson, if you would care to respond.
Thank you. So we are implementing AI, but not the way you think. As I just said, we use AI. For example, we had a 2-hour meeting just yesterday, day before yesterday, about evidence, the way we receive evidence and we provide it to the defense attorneys. It is a computer program, basically. But we're asking to up that, to use AI to help us organize that information, not to do the charging of cases. Ethically, you cannot do that. So there's certain things in a DA's office you will not be able to use AI for. You can use an AI-based program to do some legal research, but you're required in my office to go back and check that research, because sometimes, as you've seen on the news, you know, people will write a legal brief and the law is wrong. So we're not saying we can't use it. We cannot depend on it, because we are required to do certain things in front of a court, and we're arguing on behalf of victims' rights, and sometimes I would look to the same thing for the defense attorneys as well, for defendants.
Thank you.
You can ask one question and be to the point. Ask your question quickly.
Can we just ask one of them? We have to choose one of them to ask?
You can ask a question to one of them. If you ask all 3, it'll take a long time. So be to the point to one person.
Okay. Okay, I'm asking Ursula Jones Dickson, do you believe in redemption?
So I'm a believer in Christ, so I have to believe in redemption. And let me be clear, I've not lived a perfect life. So for me, every day I get up and thank God that I got up this morning, and then I ask for forgiveness for the things that I've done I didn't even know I did for other people. So I think humanity is believing in redemption, because none of us are perfect, including you, including me, nobody in this room. So I absolutely believe in redemption.
Thank you.
This question is for Pamela Price. How many ways, times does a victim's family have to reach out for you to interact with them, as you have not done in the past? Is it going to be different this time or the same?
Every case is different. And last week, we published an open letter from, I believe there were 15 families of victims who have lost loved ones in this county that I engaged with before I was a district attorney and while I was a district attorney. When the case of Rachel Elizabeth Imani Buckner had a case problem that my deputies could not resolve, I met with her mother and her grandmother. I met with the families of Michaela Garrett and Jennifer Dewey and those who were involved in the prosecution of David Mish. I met with lots of families who had juvenile cases. I met with families where my deputies didn't want to talk to them. Every case is different. So it just depends on what was necessary, whether or not the deputy would meet with them. Some people didn't want to meet with my deputies. Some people didn't want to meet with me. And so there was no hard or fast rule. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go up here up front.
Hello, this question is for all the candidates. I'm curious, could you please flesh out your stance on juvenile justice, particularly given that in Sacramento, there has been a recent investment in diversion programs, particularly impacting youth in carceral settings to have access to college. I'm curious, what is your stance on juvenile justice, and how open are you to more creative interventions?
The question was on juvenile justice for all the candidates. Since we've gone in alphabetical order once, we'll go in reverse alphabetical order this time, starting with Ms. Price.
I'm a survivor of juvenile incarceration, so I understand how stigmatizing it is when you take a juvenile at any age and incarcerate them. I also understand that when you make decisions in the juvenile court system, such as charging juveniles with felonies, that's going to follow them for the rest of their life, potentially. And so that you have to be especially judicious about how you manage juvenile cases. My position as district attorney was that I had an excellent team of lawyers. Two lawyers in particular were very seasoned, who had been in the office 30 years, one had been in the office for 20 years. She developed a specialty around juveniles who had been tried as adults by my predecessor and were returned to Alameda County. I'm very much aware of the brain science, and I respect the science, that when it tells you that juveniles, their brains literally do not develop until age 25, and that has consequences, that we have to believe that.
I'm sorry, but we're going to have to move on to Mr. Krishan's response.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'd like the questioner to repeat the question, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, happy to. For context, the state of California has invested in programs that serve as alternatives to youth incarceration. Say, for example, having youth have access to college. I'm curious, what is your stance on juvenile justice, and how open are you to exploring alternatives to the current status quo?
Thank you. I think I got it right. So there is a tough on crime, and there are youth, minors. We can go together. So when we see a minor, when we see the youth, when we see the juvenile, we don't see a criminal in it. We need to see a hope in it. That doesn't mean we are not tough on crime. That means we are smart on crime. We need to see what are the factors in it. We need to see the crime involved in it. Is a crime of passion or crime of planning? When she's saying that the kid doesn't develop until 25, it could be right, it could be wrong. I have seen kids smart, way smarter than all of us together combined. That doesn't mean each and every kid is smart. That doesn't mean each and every kid is not smart. So we need to see on a case-to-case basis. If the kid has a hope in it and it is a crime of passion, yes, we can actually work on it. We need to see the factors involved in it. The person is not being recruited by the gang, is not doing some violent crimes. In that case, we can make some other planning.
Thank you, Mr. Krishan. And now, Ms. Jones Dickson.
I spent 10 of my 11 years on the bench in juvenile courts and also served as the presiding judge of the juvenile courts here in Alameda County. And I think that it's simple. I think you take each case individually. The DA cannot charge children as adults. That's off the table now. It was called a direct file. It does not exist anymore. We have many murders, some double murders, committed by minors in this county. I owe it to the victims to get as much information as possible about those children and how they got there before we make a decision as to what we're asking the court to do and how we resolve those cases. And I also think it's respectful to the victim's family to bring that information to them as well. So do I believe that there are alternatives to incarceration both for adults and juveniles? Absolutely. Do we support those alternatives to incarceration? Sure, but it's not for every case. And when we're looking at murders and very serious and violent crimes, I think we need to take a deeper look at those.
Thank you.
Hi. If I may say this, it feels like Tale of Two Cities these days. I've been a long-time resident in Alameda, and the basics in life seems to be an issue these days where public safety is coming up a lot more. You see a lot of reports of retail theft and everything coming in. In all of this debate, I heard a lot about what the other DA did. I didn't hear enough on what you're going to do to help make sure that we are safe. It seems like we have gone down that path. And so for both of the past or existing DAs, can you provide a little bit of insight into what the plan is? And Mr. Gopal, congratulations on your trip to Japan. Obviously, you're a successful businessman. What would you do for the same to help make sure that we feel safe as citizens of Alameda County?
Okay, we're going to start with Mr. Krishan. We'll go through the order we've been going in.
Thank you. So, yes, the public safety has to come down to the people. I have seen the board, Ursula, for the people. It has to come down to the real people, not for the badges and not for the big business. It has to come down to the real people like small business. Alameda County is made of people, the small businessmen, the teachers, the workers, the nurses. We are the people and we deserve the safety in it. And what I believe in it, when we live somewhere and we pay a lot of money, and you said it right, the public safety is the bare minimum we should expect. We are paying basically half of our salary in taxes, and we should claim it as a fundamental right, and that's my slogan as well. So my job is to make sure I'm going to hit the organized crime. So we can work, once we actually hit the organized crime, we can make sure majority of the time, the big player in the market, they are gone. And then we can work on the smaller fish. I'm going to focus my resources as a district attorney office on the bigger fish. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones Dickson.
So as this gentleman just said, I think that making sure you do your job as a DA sends a message also to people who are committing crimes. And this is a gentleman who works with individuals who are formerly incarcerated, who are saying, we realize that things have changed. That's number one. We charge the cases, we try the cases. We have an organized retail theft division, and we're doing that work. We've been going from business to business to business, small and large retailers, talking about what they're doing there, what we can do to assist them, creating that communication between other organized retail theft units. We have a unit that tries human trafficking cases. We have an organized crime unit, which is more like gang cases. We're doing that work. And so that is how it's a ripple effect. Because when not much of anything was being done, and now you're doing that work again, it takes a minute for that to continue to kind of get up to speed. And we see that progress. We see people in the community feeling that as well. So it means do the work. Just do the work. It's not that difficult.
Okay. Ms. Price.
Thank you. The number one threat to public safety and why people don't feel safe is guns. And we focused on guns and gun violence in Alameda County. We got a $5.5 million grant from the state to work with the courts and the Oakland Police Department. I convened 2 roundtable discussions of law enforcement agencies around the county, so that we and included the Department of Public Health as well as community-based organization, Moms Demand Action, the Brady folks. We brought them in to talk about how do we regionally address gun violence. That was number one. Number two, was we created the Organized Retail Theft Unit. My administration is the one that went and got the $2 million grant from the state of California, and then I added $2 million so that we could have an Organized Retail Theft Unit. We trained those folks, and we were doing the outreach before the recall started. Number 3, addressing crimes against women and children, because too often we looked at crimes, and at the base of it was crimes against women and children that were ignored.
We got a question in the back here.
Yes, this question is for Ms. Price. Mr. Butler, can you stand up, please? Mr. Butler. For many of you in the community who don't know who that man saved a lot of lives in Oakland, California. And so what I don't understand, I'm a witness to it. He saved my son from going to prison. He saved my son from being murdered, and also a lot of other young men. Not only when you took over the office, what hurt it the most is men like Mr. Butler and women like Mr. Butler were escorted out the door and were told they don't have a job at the DA's office, and he was very valuable to the community.
Turn this into a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
Why was he let go if he was so valuable to the community?
Okay, Ms. Price. Do you need the question repeated?
You want me to ask why a personnel action was taken? I don't think I can
Let's
do
talk
that,
about
sir.
turnover in your office when you took office. I think that was the general question being asked there.
So when I took office, we let go about 3 people. Mr. Butler happened to be one of them, but he actually wasn't coming to work. So that was kind of different at the time. So I'm sorry, I can't talk over this. Is this against my time? Do I get time to answer the question, or do I have to argue with the people? This is not appropriate.
Okay.
Folks, if we
let's
can
go on. Let's move on
refrain
to another
from,
question.
please, let Ms. Price answer the question.
All right, you can continue.
There were some people who were not available to work, a couple of people, and Mr. Butler was in that group, about 3 people. Otherwise, there were deputies that decided to resign and do exit interviews. We actually only fired 1 lawyer, but people thought that we came in the door firing everybody. We did not. We put certain people who had been accused of misconduct on administrative leave, and then over the course of the 2 years, we hired 200 people. We focused on people who were native to Alameda County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, did I get all of my time, or was some of it taken off by
That was
that disruption?
She restarted it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Grisham, and this is for Ms. Price. When are you going to hold yourself accountable for why you were recalled? I am the leader of the recall, and nothing that you said is the reason why you were recalled. You just sat here, and a mother that just spoke is one of the mothers that you refuse to talk to. When are you going to hold yourself responsible? You did make mistakes, but you had a chance to do something different, and you chose not to.
Would you like to respond to that statement about your recall?
As many don't know, Ms. Grisham worked with Nancy O'Malley before I was elected. And before I was elected, or at the time I was elected, Ms. Grisham contacted our office and wanted to be paid to work again for the district attorney's office. My communications director told her no. When I heard about Ms. Grisham, she met with the Victims Advocates Division, and that's where the problem started. I can't be accountable to Ms. Grisham because Ms. Grisham is not a truthful person. And I will say to anyone in this community that she has spent the last 3 years deceiving the public and misleading people about what the work was that we were doing in the DA's office. And that's what the recall people should be accountable for. It is a disruption to our criminal justice system that was unwarranted. There is nothing that we were doing in January or February that warranted the
Okay,
recall.
Thank you. So I'm going to, for both questioners and candidates, let's try to stick to questions about policy, about platform, about history in office, and let's keep the personal attacks on all sides out of it. Thanks.
Yeah, we love hard questions. We love very critical questions. But please, when the candidates are answering the question, just please refrain from like shouting or clapping and making noise. It just really distracts. It doesn't allow the candidates to articulate what they're trying to say in response. So just please be respectful. We're going to go right here.
Thank you so much. So the voters in Alameda County overwhelmingly, excuse me? I was asking if you were asking me. I'm asking everybody. The voters in Alameda County overwhelmingly always vote, generally over 80%, for more police accountability, more police oversight. And we know that there is abuses in all of the police departments in Alameda County. And so I'd like to know what your position is on police accountability, and if you have been DA or if you're currently DA, what you have done to show that you are aligned with the vast majority of us who want more police oversight. Thank you.
All right, so the question for all three is, what is your position on police oversight, and what are you doing to align yourself with the will of the voters? I hope I paraphrase that succinctly. I will start with Ms. Jones Dickson.
So I think it was police accountability, not necessarily oversight. We have a public integrity unit that does that work. There was never a police accountability unit at the DA's office. It was a public accountability unit. We have a public integrity unit, and we do that work. I think as much as you say 80% of Alameda County is looking for police accountability, overwhelmingly here in Oakland, they're looking for more police too. So what we need to figure out is how we hire really good officers to do work for the community. You can shake your head, but it is what it is. You can ask these people right out here in Oakland. Everybody knows that they believe that we don't have enough officers in Oakland. I'm talking about my city where I live, not the county. So you have to have both. You have to be able to do this work and know how to do it, and that's back to being competent. It's not an attack on all police, just like it's not an attack on every citizen. The DA has to be fair and impartial.
Thank you. And now Mr. Krishan. Mr. Krishan, on police accountability and oversight.
Yep, I know the question, thank you. So the cops, they are not above the law. In fact, when we talk about the law, sometimes, most of the time, the people that think about cops, they are the first responder and we need them. That doesn't mean the district attorney office is working for the badge or any cop or any law enforcement authorities. There has to be a professional relationship. We cannot ignore that. We cannot avoid that. But when it comes to a conflict of interest, the district attorney office should make sure that nobody is helping or supporting that specific person and creating a conflict of interest. I can have a policy. We can have the grand juror to work on the police accountability on the cases where the badge is involved. We can have the state attorney general where the badge is involved to make sure we have the fair, impartial, and justice with the badge. That doesn't mean that there is no accountability. This is the job of the district attorney office to make sure each and every person, includes the law enforcement, they are having the same standard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Price.
The question is not how many police you have in which particular city, because again, the district attorney has jurisdiction over 14 cities and the sheriff's department. And so whether you have enough police officers or not, as a district attorney, you have to have a separate unit that focuses on public accountability, that is equipped and able and prepared to investigate and hold police officers accountable when they violate the law. That's pretty basic, and it happens in most modern prosecutorial offices. It did not exist when we got there. It no longer exists. The head of the Public Accountability Unit was a 30-year prosecutor, and he was fired within 10 days after my successor took office. And when you're trying to hold police accountable, you need to have independent lawyers who have experience doing that work. You need to have inspectors who are willing to do the work and participate in the prosecution.
Thank you.
May I
We're
have
gonna
a
go-
30-second rebuttal for that, or no, since we talked about predecessors?
I think we're just going to move on since we only have time for one last audience question.
We're going to go to a question in the back here.
My question's directed towards Pamela Price. I joined the military at 17 years old. I then was a police officer locally here in Alameda County. I served both careers honorably, combat wounded in Ramadi, Iraq numerous times in 2004, 2005. My truck, one of my diesel trucks from my ranch, Veterans Freedom Ranch in Hayward Hills, across the street from Cal State East Bay, was stolen in the middle of the day during COVID in April of 2020 at the onset of COVID. You failed to charge that case. My trailer that was attached to it was
Sir,
never
we do need a
recovered.
question.
Okay. When I got the vehicle back from Oakland PD after they recovered it, and the suspect was arrested and went to Santa Rita Jail.
Sir, do you have a direct question for the candidate?
Yes. His jail property bag from Santa Rita Jail was inside of my truck when I got it back for 10851, which is vehicle theft. He then stole my vehicle. You failed to charge at least 2 10851 cases. The guy, about a year later, went on to murder somebody in Hayward.
Sir, I'm going to need you to get to the question, please.
Over 63% of Alameda County recalled you. I'm here to support the murder victims that I met at the Oakland courthouse, which I recognize about a dozen different families that are here to support their murder victims for cases that you fail to charge. Do you feel any responsibility for all the deaths that you have caused and the lack of accountability and the lack of justice in Alameda County that you caused during your time, Miss Pamela Price?
Respond.
Yeah, also note, you were not DA in 2020, is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Well, but would you like to answer that? Would you like to respond to any of that question?
How about justice for JJ? How about harassing the victims, including myself and multiple murder victims?
All right, thank you. We're going to take one more question.
I realize I'm the only one with a microphone here, sorry. We're going to go in the middle here.
I think, unfortunately, I do need to respond to the fact, you said it. I was not the district attorney in 2020, sir. I did not become the district attorney until 2023. Also, there's a misconception about how charging occurs. Charging is done by 36, under my administration, there were 36 deputy district attorneys. I don't know how many Miss O'Malley had between COVID. The office was woefully understaffed when we got there. By the time I left, we had 37 charging deputies in 7 different locations. The deputies don't call the district attorney or ask the district attorney what to charge or how to charge. That just doesn't happen. So it's the perception that I'm responsible for people not being charged is a misconception.
Okay, let's bring this home with one more
one
question.
more question here.
Policy platform, public safety in Alameda County. Go for it.
My question is for Ms. Jones Dickson. As you talked about your emphasis on victims and victims' rights, I wonder if you have, after spending 11 years on the juvenile bench and in the DA's office, do you have any comments about the victims of people, juveniles who were a victim of disproportionate minority confinement, and those who weren't allowed on the death penalty case during the 80s and the 90s when you were in the DA's office because of the ban on having any Berkeley residents be on death penalty cases? Can you talk about how the residents, black and brown, working class, have been a victim of the DA's policies under Nancy O'Malley, all that possession, and what you...
Please.
how she represents a continuation of those policies that many residents of Alameda County have been victims of. The disproportionate minority confinement for juveniles and the death penalty ban on folks from Berkeley and other progressive counties.
Go ahead, Ms. Jones Dickson.
So I know my hair is great, but I didn't get to the DA's office until 1999. So you said the 80s and the 90s. Secondly, I would say this. I'm tired of people acting like the victims don't look like me too. So I'm just going to say, to answer your question, this is a more holistic conversation about crime in this country. It's not that simplistic. You and I both know it. The victims look like me too. They're black and brown too. And when we start having a conversation about why that's happening to us and sometimes by us, then we need to, nobody's coming to save us, we got to figure that out. So that question is not a question that I can answer directly. What I can tell you is when we start having that healing within our own communities about how we're handling our own business, then we can have a decent conversation about that.
Thank you. All right. Thank you to our very engaged audience. We're going to wrap this up with one closing question. You will have 60 seconds each to respond. Opportunity to brag a little bit. What is the single case in your career that you're most proud of litigating and why? Pamela Price, we'll start with you.
Sure. The single case that I'm most proud of litigating is a case that I argued before the United States Supreme Court. I am one of a handful of black women in this country that has been blessed to be able to go to the United States Supreme Court. I went there on behalf of Abner Morgan in a racial harassment case, and we won. And I appreciate that for almost 10 years, I walked with Mr. Morgan and his family as they suffered through the pain of racial discrimination, through the loss of his employment, through the slander that the defense lawyers presented. They said he was mentally retarded. All of that, we walked together through that. And we went to the United States Supreme Court together, and we were very proud to have come from this community. And anyone who is in this community will tell you that there are very few lawyers who have had the honor of going to the United States Supreme Court, of arguing before the court and actually winning. And I walked into the DA's office with that credential.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Okay, Mr. Krishan, your most proud case. Yeah.
So when you talk about just one case, it means it's a fluke. Have you heard about the song Gangam? So one hit. I'm not one night hit. I have many cases. In fact, I have so many cases, the families, they are together just because of me, because I practice immigration laws, and I have seen happiness. I have seen they invite me as a friend, not just one person. I came in this country, and my clients, they turn into my family. That's a success. It's not a case. It's not a politics. It's the work I do. I live in this community, and each and every person I work with, most of the time, they turn into a friend. Sometimes they refer.
Would you like to highlight one of those many cases? Okay.
Just one?
Yes.
So I had a case, it was in the U.S. Immigration Court, was the ICE, the person arrested that ICE, the ICE arrested that person. So I did the bond hearing. At that time, they were not doing the bond hearing, so I had to pull so many strings to get the bond hearing done. He came out, he was arrested somewhere in Texas. He came out, got the hearing done in San Francisco, and the case is still doing it.
Thank you.
He is still thankful to me, and this is just one of my cases.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Jones Dickson.
So there have been many cases that have been of import to me, but I tried a case, a murder case, where a young woman lived in the home with her family. They had a boarder in the home who murdered her in front of their home. And the mother came outside of the home, and the police found her there rocking her child's body. And I just had a daughter myself when I tried that case. And so when I argued that case to the jury, I remember just closing my eyes and rocking and giving that closing argument. And when I opened my eyes, I could feel the tears. and every juror in that box was crying as well. And it just is one of those things that reminds you that the humanity of loss can never be lost on us. That each of us has had an experience that has taken us there, some worse than others. And just to lift up the victims' families in the room, knowing that I see you, I hear you, and I won't stop.
Thank you. All right. Ending on a sober note, but thank you to all of the candidates for taking the time with us tonight. Thank you to everyone in this audience and everyone watching at home. I'm going to hand it over to Oaklandside Editor-in-Chief Tasneem Raja for some final comments.
Thank you so much to our candidates. We're going to give them all a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your time. We're going to do it again. We're going to take one breath together. All right, we're going to do this. All right. Thank you for hanging out with journalists tonight. We really like hanging out with all of you. I've said it again. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I know it's not easy to do what you all did tonight. Take the time out of your evening, away from your family, whatever it is you might have otherwise been doing to just rest and recharge tonight. We think that civic engagement is a really important, healthy part of what it means to rest and recharge as a community. You all did that with us tonight. We really appreciate it. What I'd like to invite you to do is to take that feeling of community out with you into the rest of your evening. It's a long road to Election Day. We've got a lot of engagement, a lot of learning, a lot of opportunities. I hope that you will continue to tune in to oaklandside.org, berkeleyside.org. I'd really like to give a round of applause for my esteemed colleagues here as well tonight. Thank you so much to Natalie, to Alex, to Becky Couch Alvarado is in the back there. She hates when I do that. To Darwin, to Nico, to everybody here involved in putting this event together. It took weeks and weeks of work to make this happen, and it certainly wasn't boring, right? All right, so I want to invite you all to stick around for a few minutes, right? I think we have an opportunity to meet with our candidates. I invite you to bring that same feeling of respectfulness and civilness to any of those interactions as well. Otherwise, I invite you to go on with your evening and do sign up. Last thing I'm going to say, sign up for our newsletters if you would like to be apprised of more events that we will be having between now and Election Day. Thank you all. Good night.